Hello there, I'd like to introduce you to my course here at INE called Enterprise Wireless Concepts and Implementation. I am Keith Bogart and I will be your instructor for the series of videos that comprise this course. We're going to teach you a whole bunch of things going through here, and you're going to learn more about wireless than you ever thought possible. We're going to talk about what are radio frequencies and how are they made and how are they manipulated to actually encode Wi-Fi data. We'll talk about encoding and modulation and all sorts of technical topics. We'll look at how do you measure RF power? What's this thing called the rule of tens and threes, and how can we use that to measure gain or loss from the perspective of a wireless client? I'll introduce to you features of high throughput and very high throughput, which are the terms for 802.11n, which came out in 2009, all the way up to 802.11ac and the up-and-coming standard of 802.11ax. We'll look at some of the new features and how those standards really sped up Wi-Fi to make it usable as we know it today. We'll talk about controllers and lightweight access points and what is CAPWAP? How are CAPWAP tunnels built? How does an access point learn where the controller is, the variety of methods it has available to it? And if that controller fails, how does the access point know that, and what alternatives does it have to fail over to another available controller? We'll talk about all those things. We'll also talk about antenna technology. What are antennas? What are they made of? What's this thing called a polar plot and antenna gain? We'll look at different types of antennas. What makes a dipole antenna different than a Yagi antenna versus something else like a patch antenna? We'll learn all about that. We'll also talk about wireless LAN roaming. What is roaming? What is not roaming? What are some of the factors that can make latency or delay in roaming, and what can we do to minimize or reduce those factors? I'll introduce you to some new concepts like intra-controller and inter-controller roaming that goes right alongside with that. We'll even look at sniffer traces of beacons and authentication frames and association frames, all of which are necessary to have a successful roaming event. And then we'll finish up with some overview of security, and we'll talk about what is web authentication, what is Wi-Fi protected access with pre-shared key, and what is 802.1x. We'll go into some details of 802.1x. You'll learn about what EAP is, and I'll even show you a demonstration of the 9800 series wireless controller, which is Cisco's newest controller, how to configure it for web authentication and how to configure it for 802.1x EAP. So I look forward to joining you in this course, and if you're interested in learning more about Wi-Fi, this is the course for you.